If you'll all stand with me and take a moment of silence and we'll say the Pledge of Allegiance together. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the country for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated. Do we have any special presentations? Okay. Any special announcements and communications from the floor? We're not receiving information on the city pavement management program. It's on item 4A. Does anybody have any information on that?
I think that's minutes from,
Is that,
yeah, a previous first meeting.
That's from August
okay,
17.
all right, very good. Wow. So on the,
And that's, August 17th, but that meeting is not forum, so I'm not necessarily sure if these are those minutes or not.
right,
Well, but not necessarily sure Elizabeth, whatever. There are on that, and then the last official meeting where we actually met quorum was June 15th, 2023, and we have not yet approved those minutes. So that was the last official meeting. So we do need to approve. There you go.
okay, so do we, anybody want to make a motion to approve these?
You make the motion or anybody can?
I think anybody can make the motion, can they not? If not, I'll be happy to. I make a motion that we approve the meeting minutes dated June 15th, 2023. Do I have a second?
Second.
Do we need to vote? Okay, all in favor? Any opposed? Okay, the meeting, the minutes are approved. Okay. So action items, we have introductions. Purview of commissioners, appointment of a vice chair, and a look into 2025. The introductions.
But before we do, we have to approve the last minute for the.
We did not have a quorum for that. In other words, there weren't enough commissioners. So we're, I guess, waiting to hear whether or not we have the authority to approve that. So we'll have to defer that. Is that correct, Michelle?
Yeah, I don't think that it needs. I just attached it.
Okay,
Thank you.
okay, very good. Take it away.
All right. Well, good evening, commissioners. It's a pleasure to be here. My name is Ishmael Hernandez. I'm the new Public Works Director. I started December 2nd. I have over 20 years in Public Works experience. 19 years with was at the city of Dinuba, California, which is in the central San Joaquin Valley, about 35 minutes southwest of Fresno. And then I spent a year and a half at the city of Madera, California, which is 15 miles north of Fresno. So same area. Lived in Dinuba my whole life until December 1st, just two weeks ago, a little over 2 weeks ago. Dinuba is about the same size as, a little bit bigger than Marina. So 19 years working in a city this size. The last 5 years there, I was director. Madera is more than 3 times the size of Marina. So I've worked in a large city as well, and I was director there. So I have a broad range of experience. I've overseen every division of Public Works and development services as well. So very happy to be here and look forward to working with you to make things better. We'll discuss what we want out of this commission in a minute, but that's who I am. We have two new commissioners today, correct? So we can take this time to introduce them as well.
All right, I'll. My name is Jamie Strabeck, and I've been a resident of Marina since 2015. And the reason why I applied for this commission was that I wasn't feeling as connected to the community as I felt I should be as a resident. And I thought it was on me to get more involved. And that's why I'm here, is because I felt this was a great place to start. So thank you for welcoming me.
My name is Jusik Choi. I've been in the Marina about 2 years, and before that, I spent about 4 years at the Monterey, the center of Monterey, because I got a job at the DLI teaching Korean. And actually, I'm a first generation to immigrate in United States from Republic of Korea. Right after that, I joined the U.S. Army because I thought I have to have some sort of credit for this beautiful country. So I just signed for the 2.5 years, but makes me stay like 20 years. So I went to Kuwait, Iraq, and Korea for the overseas assignment. And mine was in Iraq there was OIF first, which is like the very beginning of the hierarchy of freedom operations there. So it was quite a bit, good experience, like learning points of what's the meaning of service. It's for both countries. It's not just for the our country, which is the United States of America, but also the other countries out there. So when I got back in here, I was thinking about I am here because of many help from the community, my society here, and I have to contribute some and kind of not a repay, but kind of help each other, cooperate. And one of a council member here in city of Marina was Kathy, and kind of she was kind of role model for me, and Elizabeth over there, and kind of encouraged me, and she showed me that yeah, I'm an immigrant, but I'm part of this, so why not? Why not to serve again here? So here I am, and I applied it, and luckily I've been selected. So I'm looking forward to how effectively serve back to my community and society in here. Thank you for allowing me to get together, and I'm so glad to have you guys in here work together.
Welcome, welcome.
Thank you.
And Steve.
Forgot about with all these automatic things. Background is project management most recently, and before that it was computer development for insurance companies. So the project management is good for this application. And then I'm a car guy, so I am interested in public works, condition of the streets and drainage and parks and other things that we're involved in, and traffic flow and all the exciting, that aspect of your job. I know it's a small one part of it, but and I'm excited to be here. I want to participate.
Thank you, Steve. And my name is Steve Hunt, resident of Marina since 1992. And so my wife and I, met in college in 1987 up in Oregon and got together and been here ever since. And we both lived here in Marina longer than we've lived anywhere else. We've raised 3 kids here. My wife and I have been always involved with the community. She was a PTA president while our kids were at Olson School. I served as a board member and coach for the youth baseball program for what seemed like an eternity because we had 3 kids that were about 5 years apart. We didn't design it that way. It just worked out that way. Um, Currently, I'm a sales guy. I've been in sales for all my life. The first 30 years of my career was software sales. The last 11 has been real estate. And I've been involved in this community ever since. Um, a Rotarian, gosh, uh, kind of forgotten some of the things that I've been involved with, but my goal has always been to stay connected, and I love this town. I love the diversity of the town. That's what attracted us to stay here. Quite frankly, it's not what attracted us to move here. The price of homes, back in the '90s were pretty affordable because the military base, Fort Ord, was closing at the time. And everybody, the Seventh Light Infantry was moving up to Fort Lewis, Washington. I think there were a dozen homes for sale on my street alone. So yeah, been here a long time. Don't plan on going anywhere. My funeral is going to be here somewhere in Marina. My ashes will be spread around certain places within the county if I get my wishes.
Don't get too far ahead of yourself.
Yeah, in the long distant future. Long.
Actually, I got some questions about spraying the ashes and
I kind of figured, so we'll do that very discreetly, right? Anyway, so that's a little bit about me. So welcome to Marina. Can we ask you a question? Like what attracted you to Marina? Did you know anything about Marina before you came here?
Living in the central San Joaquin Valley my whole life, whenever everybody there, when they decide to go to the coast, it's either to here to the Monterey County area or Pismo Beach, that area. So I've been to Monterey at least once a year, sometimes 3-4 times a year, my entire life. For director positions and higher, cities often retain a recruitment firm to do the recruitments, and Marina, for my recruitment, selected a firm they'd never used before, and this firm has a completely different model. They don't do any advertising at all. They do research on people with the skills to do the job, and after they do their research, they start calling those people and those people only. And so I wasn't looking for a job when I got the call from the recruiter. I ignored it, and after a week of them being persistent with emails and messages to my LinkedIn profile, I finally returned the call and said, "I'm not interested. I don't think I'm qualified." He said, "Just give me a 10-minute phone call, and if you still don't think you're interested, then I'll let it go." So after 10 minutes, I said, "All right, I'll send in my resume, and you tell me if you think it'll be competitive." And so here I am. What attracted me to Marina, of course, is this big body of water you have out here. Where I live, where I've lived my whole life, it's 100. We get triple digit temperatures in the summer for 30, 40, 50 days straight. I've lost dogs in the heat just because anyway. And so yeah, lifelong dream to live near the beach, and I'm very familiar with this area. I did not realize though how beautiful the city of Marina was until I started pursuing the job here. Yeah. No, keep it just the way it is. Yeah.
Anybody else have any questions? Do you have any questions for any of us?
No, I do not.
Very good. Well, purview of commissioner. I'm not sure what that means.
Since this, we have new commissioners and this commission hasn't, well, I'm new. I'm not sure how the commission was used in the past. My understanding is that if there were items for the commission to discuss or to review, then a meeting was scheduled. So I thought it'd be good to discuss the purview of the commission so that new commissioners understand that, to get us all on the same page. And then the last item, we'll look ahead into 2025 and we'll all kind of discuss what we'd like to see out of this commission. The purview of the commission, number one, it's an advisory board. I had a situation before where I oversaw planning commission meetings and some of the planning commissioners felt that all they, being an advisory board wasn't important. They wanted a position of authority as like a council member. And, I had to remind them how important that was. We will be discussing items that we will be taking your feedback, and incorporating that into our plans, our daily plans, and into the staff reports that we write and ultimately present to city council. So everything that you believe, your feedback on anything that we do, that we bring to you, it will be in a staff report. Council will know that Public Works Commission has received this presentation and this was their recommendation. So it's a very important role. Even though it's not an authoritative role, as an advisory board, it's a very important role. You will have opinions that staff may not. Staff has a habit of doing things that we've been taught, that we've been trained for, and so we do things a certain way. We make decisions. I do anyway. I like my decisions to be data driven, and sometimes when you allow your decisions to be 100% data driven, you sometimes forget the residents' needs. So this commission is going to be important in relaying that information and saying, hey, you know what? I'm not sure that I would appreciate that if that was on my street. Or you might say, how about if you add these 2 or 3 items to that and to make a good project, a great project. So it's a very important commission, a very important role. And yeah, we just look forward to doing something. If you have any questions about the role of the commission, or be happy to discuss that.
But I don't think it's for the discussion, but I got a lot of things to catch up because of I just coming in. So in my common knowledge about how it works is as your staff, any agent that or any items you guys want us to educate or learn from, or we need to study for, how far you guys gonna inform me or other commissioners before we get meetings, like regular meetings, which looks like a third Thursday every month, right?
Yeah. So my desire is to have this meeting every month, whether we have something big or not. That would be my preference, and you can weigh in on that and tell us if you just prefer to only meet when you have something big. Public Works is always doing something. There's always something going on. You're always going to receive, you're going to go to the grocery store or go get gas and be putting gas in, and somebody say, hey, aren't you on the Public Works Commission? What's going on over here? Or why is this going on? And there's a traffic signal that needs to be looked at. So I think there's always going to be something to be talking about. I'm not sure if I answered your question, but my desire would be to have this meeting every month. Marina has more projects going on than any other city this size that I've ever seen or even heard of. So I'd like to bring project updates to you, just so you know what's going on. we won't be able to have a whole lot of discussion on those, but at least you know what's going on and you can give some feedback. One of the items that we'd like to bring to you, we have a lot of people that have concerns with road closures and felt that they weren't properly notified in advance of the road closure. Just, woke up one morning, went to work, and this road's closed. And so, those kinds of things, we want to bring those here and tell you, hey, this is our protocol. What do you think? Give you an opportunity to weigh in and say, why don't you add, an additional, instead of notifying people 3 days in advance, let's do 5 and 3, or let's do 10 and 3. So we want to be able to take that information from you. You're residents, you're here every day, and you can give us that perspective of somebody that just lives in a neighborhood and needs a little bit extra consideration. So I think that we could have monthly meetings that are productive, that are beneficial, and you would leave feeling like you contributed something.
This will, if I'm approved, will be my third term as a Public Works Commissioner, and I can tell you, the new members, that the agendas are pretty much always full, whether it be about the conditioning of the streets and the ways to treat them, or the engine widening project, or just a host of issues, right? And then, like you said, we take a look at proposals. One of the last ones was the park that they're going to build, right? Where they had 4 plans and we recommended 2. City council went with one of them, but tweaked it a little bit. So, so this position really is not about going backwards, but here and now and moving forward. So there really won't be much for you to worry about to have to catch up on. Other than if there's anything in these last 2 meetings. I can't believe the last meeting was actually June 15, over a year, almost a year and a half ago. I knew it had been a long time. And I do believe that once a month was adequate. Sometimes the meeting lasted an hour, sometimes they lasted 3 hours, but most of the time, hour to 2 hours tops. We didn't go all night ever like the people on Tuesdays do in here. She laughs. She goes through it. She's a war hero, and as far as I'm concerned, but anyway, because that's what it feels like sometimes. But anyway, and there's a lot going on right now with all of the dunes and the new development and the roads, and so Marina's definitely going through a change, a big change, and so there's going to be a lot to be on the forefront that will need to be addressed. So we're excited to have you here, and I'm glad that salesperson didn't give up. That was a good recruiter. Good salespeople never give up. They hear no, and he goes, well, he told me to F-O. What he really meant was, give me a few weeks.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad he didn't give up either.
So anyway, all right. Okay. Anything else? Well, we have appointed chair and a look ahead into 2025. Do you want to take us into 2025, and then maybe we could do
Sure.
appoint the chair last?
Sure.
Would that be okay?
So under this item D, what we want to do is, I'll give you guys a few things that are coming up in 2025, early 2025, that we'll bring to this commission, and then give each of you an opportunity to discuss what you'd like to see in 2025 out of this commission. One thing we've got coming up is a traffic speed survey that is citywide. I don't remember how many streets are being studied, but residential streets are prima facie 25 miles an hour, so those don't get studied. It's usually arterials and collectors, major collectors and minor collector streets. The way these speed programs used to be, they're done every 5 years. They're supposed to be done every 5 years. After the 5 years, they expire. So if you get a speeding ticket, and the reason people go to court to fight the speeding tickets is because oftentimes the speed studies are more than 5 years old, so they're automatically thrown out of court. So they're very important. And the way this used to be, in 1 hour, you have to survey at least 100 vehicles, and you clock their speeds, and the speed limit of a road was set by the 85th percentile. That's kind of a confusing term. It doesn't mean that 85% of people are driving that speed limit. It just means that 85% of people are driving that speed or slower. So one speeder could throw the whole thing off. If you survey 100 people and 84 are driving 32, and then the 85th person is driving 45, and everybody else is over 45, the speed limit's going to be set at 45. And there wasn't a whole lot that cities could do about it. That was the speed. So even though 84% of traffic was driving 35, it gets a 45 mile an hour speed. That could be 55 miles an hour, and it could sometimes be dangerous, but that's the way it was. Councils had discretion in increasing or reducing the speed by 5 miles an hour, but they had to have justification. So if there was a school nearby, you could say, we don't want it to be 45. There's a school 3 miles down the road, we want it to be 40. But that's all the discretion you had. Changes have been made to that. Those changes are not clear, so but they do give council more discretion now. Now council can say there's too many people whose homes face this road, we want it to be 25 miles an hour, even though the 85th percentile is 45 or 50 or 60. So we're going to be bringing the consultant in to do a presentation to you and let you know what that process is, give you an opportunity to see that. When they have the speed surveys done and we know what people are driving around town, we'll bring that in here and we'll show that to you, give you an opportunity to weigh in. And then when we take it to council, we'll say, this is what has been found out in the road. This is what planning commission feels. This is their feedback, and staff recommendation is X, and give council an opportunity to make those final determinations. So that's something big coming up. The first city I worked in, I was there for 19 years, and we had a higher than national average vehicle versus pedestrian fatalities per capita. So, per 100 or 1,000 people, we had more traffic fatalities than cities like Los Angeles. And I want to say 1 year we beat out New York and Chicago. So it was terrible. So speeds are very important to me. I was fortunate that I never responded to an accident shortly after it happened, but I did have to respond and try to make things safe and figure out what the unsafe thing was that could have, or that possibly led to the accident. So, yeah, speed limits are very important. Some people, they just want to drive as fast as they can, but it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to get to work 3 minutes earlier by speeding when driving the speed limit gets you there safely. And like I said, how many times have you been passed on the freeway and then you get up to signal light and the person that passed you is right in front of you? They didn't get anywhere by passing you. So that's one thing that'll be coming up. The Del Monte Avenue revitalization project, that's moving along, so we'll bring an update to you. And that'll be a fun project to look at and to move forward. As I mentioned earlier, we're going to come to you and discuss traffic control and public notifications during street closures. We have, because of the IMGen project widening, we have closes, roads that are closing for a short period of time, then opening and then closing again, and traffic detours. So we'll give you some updates on those things. We will bring some informational items that are just for your information, just project updates. that are being done outside of Public Works. Public Works is managing the projects, but we're building a new park, Dunes Park. We're doing some upgrades to Windy Hill Park and building a new park in the Sea Haven subdivision. So there won't be any action that you'll take, but you'll get to see the update. And those things are, to me, interesting and important. So another thing that's coming up that I think will be fun, and outside of having to talk in meetings like this, I'm normally the quiet one in the room, not very talkative. And I certainly don't like doing things that are, today we had a Christmas luncheon and I took a video of some employees that were playing a game and I sent it to my girlfriend and she later on said, "So did you play any games?" And she was just joking because I don't play games. That kind of stuff isn't me, but I came out with a fun idea. We're going to start an initiative that we're calling My Marina. And what we're going to do is we're going to take one day a month. We're going to divide the city into 8 districts. We will take the 4 council districts and divide those in half. So we have 8 districts. And one day a month, we're going to have public works staff assigned to each of those districts. And all they're going to do is spend the day fixing things that you would want fixed if that was your neighborhood. That's the direction that we're going to give them. So it's going to be little things like the signpost that's leaning over, a sticker on a stop sign that some kid, running by jumped up and put a sticker on the stop sign, and the little bit of weeds on the corner that sometimes grows between the sidewalk and the curb and gutter, and nobody goes out there and takes care of those. Anything small that just makes the neighborhoods a better place. Our staff will make themselves available to residents during that day. We're trying to work out some of the details on that. And so when we bring this item to you, those are the kinds of things that we're going to seek your advice for. Let you give us some input on and giving us ideas on how to reach our residents. And the reason why we gave this program this name is, like I said, I didn't know how beautiful Marina was until I got here. I didn't know what a great community it was until I got here. Every time I vacationed in this area, I was in Monterey. Every time I dined out, it was in Monterey. Alvarado Street, Fisherman's Wharf, Cannery Row, that's where I went. And I get here for my interview and I drive around. Lane drove me around for about 4 hours and showed me all the projects. And I just thought, wow, what an incredible town. And so I have been so excited about this being my marina, and just making myself part of the community. And so in talking to staff, we just thought, well, we can kind of have a little motto. We want the public to know that we want my marina to be your marina. And so that's the reason for the name. And we think it's going to be a fun program. We think it's going to help us to connect with the public. We think it's going to help the public to just see that we care about more than just the $7.5 million road widening project is amazing, but the weeds that are on your street that you see every day that you're tired of, that's just going to make your day. So very excited about that program. And these are just a handful of things that we see in 2025. And so, yeah, just like to give you a chance also to talk about what you'd like to see in 2025 out of this commission.
So can I ask some questions regarding 2025 and your initial observations?
Sure.
So let's start with that. When you began the job, what were your initial observations as how things were previously being run versus how your background would normally run things?
I'm not sure that I fully understand how things were run before. So I don't know that I can answer that, but I can say this. I have 3 kids, 31, 28, and 22. They're all out of the house. just had my first grandchild a few months ago, so that's exciting, but he lives in Oregon. So I'm not a textbook workaholic, but I have the time to devote to what I love doing. I love public works. So the way that I will run the department, I think people will know that he comes in at the same time every day. If I'm going to be late, I let people know. I don't leave early. I push and push and push. I have a lot of tenacity. I'm very tenacious when it comes to projects. When I was in Dinuba, the last few months I was there, we received award notification for a grant. I had been pursuing this grant for 5 years. I applied 3 cycles, and when I applied during the first cycle, I was so angry that we didn't get the grant. I didn't talk to anybody for 3 days, and I just kind of stayed to myself, very quiet. I was just very frustrated. I arranged for a meeting with the state reps, asked them what they didn't like about our application, what I needed to do to make it stronger next time. The next time we applied, our scores were a lot higher. Still didn't get it, but I was happy because we at least got high scores. The third time we applied, we got a grant for $18 million. And that's in a city about this size. So it's transformative. That amount of money in this biggest city is transformative. But that's how I am with everything. I wasn't going to let it go. I just did everything I could. I came back and every time I applied, I made the grant application stronger until we finally got the award. When people have a complaint, I do everything I can to remedy the issue. Sometimes I can't, and there's just nothing I can do. But when I can, I do everything I can to do that. I believe in continual improvement. So one phrase that is detrimental to any business, any work environment is we've always done it this way. You'll never hear me say that. I'm always trying to make things better, even if it's something that's worked for me for 5-10 years. There's still a way to make it better. When it comes to managing capital improvement projects, I have one huge goal, and that is on time and on budget. So engineers may not like me for a little while, but they'll get on board because I want things done on time and on budget. I don't like when we tell council this project's scheduled to go to bid in September 2025. Construction start date around December 25, January 2026. And then it's 6, 8, 9, 12 months later, that stuff just really burns me up. So I have a couple of sayings that I like to use with firms that we work with, and that is, well, that's what your evenings and weekends are for. So do everything you can to stay on track. And there are legitimate reasons for project delays that, of course, we're going to work with people, but that's kind of what to expect with me. I'm always like the way I talk now. It's the way I always am. Staff will never see me angry. I don't disrespect anybody. I don't talk down to anybody. My personal motto is advancing the quality of life for all. It's been on the bottom of my emails for 7-8 years. And it's what I love about public works.
So I have additional questions. You said that this city has a large number of projects. And I was wondering, when I had first applied, I was given a spreadsheet of the projects. And I was wondering, are we still using a spreadsheet to manage projects, or are we using project software to keep track of projects?
Engineering firms use project software. Often what they give to us is lists are maintained on a spreadsheet sometimes. Sometimes from the project software, they will export to Excel so that they can manipulate columns and rows better. But yeah, our engineering firms use project software.
Well, for project management, I had started in companies that had worked with spreadsheets, and then we had moved on to project software for help desk requirements and stuff for anything computer related. And what a big difference it made in order to prioritize and understand, keep track of progress. So I would implore you to consider using project software to manage the large number of projects that you have.
Yeah, like I said, our engineering firms that design our projects for us, everything's done in project software, construction management projects. And there's a myriad of software programs available to them. I've seen some so complex that when the project ended, it just was a nightmare. We swore we'd never do anything that complex again, but yeah, they're definitely used. And actually Public Works is starting, we're going through the implementation here pretty soon. It's another thing we'll bring here in 2025. Before I got here, staff had participated in some demos for a few different software programs for work order management. So we will be using one of those. The name of the company is Civic Plus. And one option that we are adding with the work order management software program is in government, they're commonly known as 311 type of apps. So residents will be able to download the app to their phones, and they will be able to submit work order requests on their own. So they can take a picture of a pothole in front of their house or on their road, submit that request. And then when staff gets to work the next morning, they see the request on their desk and are able to schedule it, and very helpful to us. As we first roll this program out, we expect to be inundated by requests. We will likely get 40 requests for the same pothole from 40 different residents. So we'll have some work to do to get all that fixed. But once it usually takes about 3 or 4 months to get these programs rolled out. So yeah, we do everything we can to use software to make our lives easier. And now whole different discussion, but AI programs are just unbelievably amazing. So governments are starting to use AI programs as well.
So I used the wrong term when I said project software. I should have used work order software.
Yeah.
So how are you able to set the priorities thus far? And maybe it's too early to even tell.
With this software program, it's going to be hard for a while. Like I said, we expect to be inundated by work order requests that the public submits. But once we get past that initial hump, it should be smooth sailing. I've worked with these programs before. Prioritization is pretty easy. You get 40, 50 requests by the public a week. 90% of those requests are things that we already have on our list. We're already planning to do that week anyway. The other 10% of things are new things that we didn't know about, and we're able to send a lead worker out to take a look and assess and see what needs to be done. If we need to order materials for that project, we do that. If we need a contractor to work on it, we do that. I don't expect this to be a challenge for public works staff by any means.
Excellent.
Can I dovetail on that? Is in relationship to your Marina, for this project software that the citizens would have access to, would those projects be outside of the 8 districts and the rotating schedule? So if a pothole, for example, on the northwest side of town is brought to your attention by 40 people that drive through that pothole every day, but that's not on your 8 districts for maybe another 3 or 4 more rotations, would that potentially take priority?
Yeah.
Or are those two entirely separate things?
They're 2 separate things. So we would treat everything with we'd prioritize safety first. We'd prioritize liability next, liability for us and for the public.
Yeah.
We'd also sometimes work gets prioritization because there's funding for it, and some things just there's no funding for them. So we have to plan for those. But either way, what we will do when we receive the work order request that was submitted by a resident, we can communicate back with that resident, let them know. Staff has assessed this. We've engaged a contractor. This project is scheduled to be done in 60 to 90 days. So the resident at least knows somebody listened to them. Yeah. So yeah, we expect it to be beneficial for us at Public Works and also for the residents.
So I have only two more questions. Staffing. So do you feel from your brief amount of time that your staffing is adequate, or if not adequate, do you feel that you're able to get additional staffing?
So that's never an easy question to answer. We could always use more staff. If you gave me double or triple the amount of staff, we'd be able to keep them busy 8 hours a day for 5 days a week. I've talked to staff. We know that we need some staffing, but sometimes one or two pieces of equipment makes up for the need to hire 2 or 3 more people. We've got dog parks. We just had the ribbon cutting ceremony for a new dog park over in the Dunes subdivision. There's sand there, and there's a machine that it's almost like a lawnmower that you run through the dog park, and it filters out the sand and picks up what homeowners, dog owners left behind. And in addition to that, leaves twigs and everything else, and leaves nice clean sand for residents to take their dogs back. So that piece of equipment is going to be about $30,000, which is what we'd pay for another person part-time. Part-time workers, probably $40,000 a year. So we're looking at equipment. We're looking at staffing levels. We will be going through the budget process here pretty soon. And we'll see what happens, but it's something that we're assessing. To answer your question, do we need more people? Yes, we do. We're trying to find other ways to be more efficient with what we have and establish service levels. Another example is, do we hire 3 more park staff because we're getting so many new parks in town, or do we now contract out our mowing and edging to a contractor, and then existing staff is freed up to do other things? So these are just questions that we'll be looking at.
Very good. Then my last question, and it may not be appropriate for here, but it has to do with traffic around Olson School and probably other schools, but when the parents go to pick up their children, they block both lanes both ways, and it can be a 15-minute ordeal where you're just sitting waiting for people because the flow to pick up the children is not well organized.
Yeah.
And it's enough so that people go in the opposite lane that are trying to not be involved in picking up children, but just going, trying to traverse that street. Who would be the person to talk to regarding that traffic structure? Whenever I've mentioned it before, they just said, well, that's the way it's always been, and
Yeah.
it can't be fixed.
Yeah. School zones are tricky because
Yes.
in my experience, it doesn't matter how much red curb you paint. They're going to pull over in front of red curb to let their kids out. They're going to double park to let their kids out. Yeah, so there's no easy answer. What I can say is that the appropriate thing to do would be submit actually you don't have to because we have it here in our notes. We'll discuss it with our engineering firm, and I think a better way to look at this is to look at all schools, put it on our list and have all schools looked at during summer break, and see if improvements can be made before school starts up again, because it's not an easy fix. If it's at one school, it's likely at all of them. The high school has one way in and out, so I know that by looking at a map. I can only imagine what traffic is like getting in and out of the high school every day. The main thing for me is that student pedestrians crossing the street are safe. So we can definitely look at it.
Good. It's been a longstanding problem.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it's that I only experienced the one school, but I can't imagine that it would be better in any other schools.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Just to add on to that, so that's been an ongoing problem since we've been here. My kids are 32, 27, and 23. So when they all went to Olson, the first one, when he would go into the first driveway and come out the other side. The second one, they went both ways. And then the last one, he went in through the top towards Windy Hill and came back, and it was a right turn only. But people would still make the lefts. They would still stop where they couldn't stop, and kids would still cross the street. Either way, whatever system has been devised, moms and dads ignore the system. Not all of them, but 5%, 3%, enough to make it dangerous. So I think that's one of those things that and the high school is the same way. So I think that's one of those things that requires some re-engineering. But yeah, that's been a challenge for
Yeah.
sure.
Older schools in older neighborhoods were also built during a time when 90% of the kids walked to school. Today, parents don't feel safe letting their kids walk to school. They watch too much 6 o'clock news. And so they hear about all the tragedies that happen around our country. So it's a different, now you have 90% of kids being dropped off and only 10% walk to school. So you have 10 times the vehicles going to the same school, and it wasn't designed for that many vehicles. So that's why I said it might be something that the engineers look at, and as Commission Chair Hunt just discussed, with 3 different kids and 3 different traffic patterns, it just never got any better. But we can take a look at it.
So one of the also interesting aspects is they're building right behind Windy Park, a large new area. And so there's got to be a number of people, additional people that will be going to Olson. So without traffic infrastructure improvements to support the additional residences and stores, the stores will attract traffic that wants to go through, and the schools will add more people that are clogging up the traffic in doing the drop-offs. So it doesn't sound like a recipe for success.
Yeah.
Anyhow, welcome to Marina.
No, and road participated this morning of that campus. I mean, literally right there, and businesses that traffic. Now, my understanding is there's going to be multiple entry points where it goes off of Beach and Michael. It goes behind the school, and like the dead end is going to be accessed that way. So maybe that could be one of the solutions. Something that everybody can take a look at.
Yeah. Sure.
If I could make a comment, please. I love the consistency of the meetings, regardless of whether or not we feel there's enough on an agenda to make it worthwhile. I think if we're ever going to generate public interest so that we have people in the audience who are here to voice their opinions during a public comment portion of our meeting, I think that would be important to have that consistency that we are here having these discussions. And you talked to us about bringing us things. I'd like to see us go out and do more field trips, because as you're talking about this, not knowing Marina as well, I'd love to have like an interactive map right in front of me that has a touch screen. I could say, okay, wait a second, where are those streets exactly? Because I'm not familiar with Olson Middle School. My child is older and did not attend school here in Marina. So if we could I love the My Marina idea because your staff is going to be out in the field, recognizable, interacting with the community and demonstrating the value they bring on a daily basis to the community. But I would love for us to get out there because especially Jusik and I being new and not being as familiar with the city and certainly not being as connected to the ongoing issues that have been plaguing us, I'm sure, for decades. I would rather see it in person.
We can work on bringing visual aids to you, showing a map up on the big screen. Field trips with a quorum can violate the Brown Act. So yeah, it's difficult, but yeah, absolutely. We'll do what we can to facilitate a better understanding, provide some visuals for commission members. Yeah.
You can get over with Google Earth maybe for Google Earth. Yeah. Like Edry during the TAC meeting.
Yes.
Yeah.
I just want to do those things to me.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Or if we're gonna discuss something, I can try to get a map for you.
And we can also bring something back. So if we bring something to you and you say, hey, can you bring it back with visual aids? We can do that. Yeah, I don't mind that. I don't mind disagreements with our staff recommendation. Those kinds of things don't bother me. It's normal to have a 4-to-1 vote or a 3-to-2 vote. That's democracy at work, as long as it's not always the same 3 bullying always the same 2. But yeah, that's the way it's supposed to work. So have no problems with bringing you something, you asking us to bring it back with more information or visual aids or whatever you need.
I don't know if it's related or not, but I might don't have any idea about running school bus in Marina. I don't see many working around here. What's going on?
We don't have school buses.
What is the reason?
To school.
And that's it's not just Marina, it's every city. School districts are always expanding the boundary. First it was we'll bus anybody that's over a mile away from the school, and then 2 miles away from the school, and trying to bus as the least amount possible. So yeah, this is the 3rd city I'm seeing it in, but I read about it all the time.
They talk about it, but it's just about the upcoming projects and road closures, sometimes PowerPoints, but usually pretty quick, 15-20 minutes. Also, they ask questions, goes out to CSUMB, surrounding areas, or something like that. Included in that, and then they usually are pretty visual. They show maps, and it includes where our courtyard is located, which is up by CSUMB's parking lot. So I mean, it shows just roughly that 1.7 mile stretch of Imogen Parkway, but they're pretty, they'll share their screen and you can ask questions, and they're pretty open and honest. And it's our city engineer, and it's Harrison Associates who's doing the construction management team for it. MPE is not on it, the construction crew who's doing the work, but you can always ask any questions, and then I'm on it too. So if you ever have any questions for me, but I mean, if you want to be included in that, it's like a weekly email blast that I put out. Then once a month we meet. So if you guys want to be included.
And you said that's a Zoom type meeting?
Yeah, it's a Zoom meeting.
Yes, please.
Okay.
That could be interesting.
Yeah.
Yes, I'd like to be
Yeah, if you
included.
want- if you just want emails, I can send you the the emails that come out, which is just, it's a weekly email, but it's a monthly meeting that we have, so.
I would like that also.
Nice.
All right, very good. And Yusik and Jamie, you know, if you'd be interested, be more than happy to meet with you one day and show you around. Give you the tour of, you know, we've got Marina, what I call the lower 48. That was basically everything before Dune, Sea Haven, and East Garrison's not technically part of Marina, but it's kind of included, kind of, not for anything we do here, but okay. Very good. Anything else by the commissioners, by you, Ishmael, or how do I address you? Public Works Director, sir?
You can.
Your Honor?
Yeah, you can call me by my first name. That's fine.
Okay. Looks like the next item is to appoint a vice chair. Would anybody like to be the vice chair?
You said yes,
That's
sir?
how that works.
I love that. You had your chance, right? We voted 4-0, 5-0. That's funny. Should we do that? Does anybody want to step up to the plate? Well, Mr. Felton,
I hasn't attended the
it,
meetings.
it is Christmas. It's the time of giving. So shall we make a motion that Mr. Felton be our vice chair? I would like to make that motion. Anybody want to second it?
Hasn't been in attendance.
I know, that's probably not a good
I
idea.
can't say I know him.
Yeah, and it's not the way you to want to meet him either, I don't think. All right, I thought we could get away with it. You sure, you sick? So what do we do if, in this situation? By the way-
Anybody can nominate.
By the
someone
way,
else.
this is either my second or third time as chair. I came over here and was sitting where the lovely Jamie is sitting and I was late, I guess, and ended up here. So show up on time and show up. This may happen to you also. So I'm learning this role as well, but
You're doing a great job.
I'm glad one of you thinks so.
Stephen, why don't you take the place? Because of, I mean, Jamie and I is kind of brand new here.
It's not really in skill set.
All you gotta do is just help him and
All,
With this-
all four of you just are doing the job. I mean, just-
So if it makes anybody feel comfortable, all it means is that when the chair is absent, you would run the meeting. It's not a whole lot of, it's not any additional responsibility. You have an agenda. For a while at least, our meetings are going to be nice and comfortable like this. As it grows and we have public attending, we might have to get a little bit more structured, but yeah, it's not a scary thing at all.
Well, maybe what we can do then is defer the appointment until our next meeting. And hopefully Mr. Felton will be here and will be willing to take up the chair. And if not, I will bring a deck of cards and we will select one that way. Fair enough? Okay. All right. Commissioners and staff informational reports. Anything? We have nothing. Does the staff have any reports, any correspondence?
No, we don't.
Okay. Well, then that brings us to item number 10, which is adjournment. So this meeting is officially adjourned.